Okay, guys, I think we are live. Okay, we are recording.
Okay, I'll go ahead and go first then.
Hopefully this works, okay? If not, don't kill me, okay?
It's okay. I heard a recording that said it was being recorded, so it's got to be good.
Okay, great. Okay.
All right. So I'll get us going. My name is Vernon Beaver. I teach at Fred T. Ford High School, which is in Catawba County. I've been teaching for 16 years. I teach social studies. And like everyone else, I've been in this program. This is our third semester now. And so I am peer reviewing Bruce on Artifact 6C, the Teacher Working Condition Survey Analysis. And Bruce and his school improvement team highlighted several areas of concern. The issues were highlighted by the Teacher Working Condition Survey and the North Carolina School Report Card. And some of the areas included community support and involvement, facilities and resources, teacher leadership, professional development, school performance, and achievement gaps among female and male students. And my review of this artifact was first that the information that is in the data is coordinated with the action plan. That is, the survey results definitely shows areas of need in those areas, some a little bit more than others, but there are definite needs in those areas, and that the school improvement team was valid to address those areas, and this PLC and the candidate was also right to address these areas. And so I'll talk about a couple of the areas and some suggestions that I made in the peer review, which was in the area of community support and involvement. It looks like that was one of the top areas of need. On the Teacher Working Condition Survey, the middle school that Bruce teaches at was at a 59% on parent guardians influence decision making in the school, and that was well below the North Carolina Public Schools, the county that school is located in, and all of North Carolina middle schools, and it was a significant drop. So that was a definite area of need. Bruce, you looked at the Teacher Working Condition Survey and the report card data, and my suggestion for that one was to maybe look at some data from, and you probably did this in A and B, but like setting, socioeconomic data and some of that stuff that might corroborate that situation. Also, the second area of need that I thought was maybe the most significant was the gender gap on student achievement, which was significant, which was just for example in 2013 and 14 among females, the achievement was 10% of a difference of a gap in achievement between males and females. And Bruce, you mentioned that to kind of attack that problem, there would be some like instructional coaching going on with male programs, and I thought that was a great idea. And I suggested that there has to be some sort of outside data or studies that go along with that. This can't be an isolated problem. Right. I mean, it might be in your school, but it might be that there's some outside data on this and some suggestions that could go with that. But overall, I thought those were the two biggest suggestions that I had. All the areas were definitely areas of need and areas that warranted improvement. But those were the two areas that I thought was like the biggest areas of need.
And we really, Vernon, just to piggyback on that, we've kind of addressed that issue for next year. We've already moved a couple of male teachers to 6th grade, and then my wife teaches at the high school. I was a basketball coach at the high school, and they're having programs right now on how to teach males. I mean, male individuals, trying to get them to succeed in high school. So that was a big thing for us, and seeing those gender gaps between males and females in 6th grade. And then, we looked at it too as far as like athletics. In North Carolina, kids are able to start playing sports in 7th grade. In 6th grade, we really don't have a lot of things to hold over their heads.
Right, initiative.
Yeah, and we looked at that, and so I wrote actually in 3E a little bit more about that as something I learned and something that maybe like a little resolution you guys will see later on in 3D and 3E. I actually wrote about that a little bit about that today.
Well, Bruce, I thought it was pretty astounding data, and it was definitely an area that needed to be addressed. And I can see here in your presentation where in 6th grade it looks like the gap closes as the kids get towards a little bit in 7th grade and then more in 8th grade. But you're right, when you first see the kid in 6th grade, that gap is significant. And I wonder what the elementary data might show there too.
Yeah.
Like, where's that situation kind of starting at?
You're right. And we also, Vernon, we also looked at our PTO program as well, looking at the data that you talked about at the beginning. We were looking at in the elementary schools, it's so easy to get people to volunteer for PTO. And in middle school, there is a huge drop off in getting parents there for kids. So, I tried to address those issues, which I thought would be easy to kind of assess and look at and see if we could make those better. Hopefully I did a little bit.
I think you did a good job, and I thought those were definite areas to strive to improve on.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anybody want to piggyback? Anybody? Jemal, I can kind of piggyback on what Vernon was saying to me. When I looked at your 6C, I kind of compared it to mine just a little bit. I didn't go down. Your concept was aligned. Everything was there in all the tests. One thing Dr. Neal told me is, and I didn't do this in 6C because this class was a few semesters ago, but putting the descriptors at the beginning just so that you can kind of see that you've met them. And I need to do that as well, but I thought you mentioned the quality was high level thinking, the key experiments, all that was good. The rest of the page was great. I liked when I was reading about when you talked about with your school improvement team, you noted a shift in school climate, effects on students and teacher morale, and we have the same problem at Flat Rock. And I was looking at that and to kind of see what you guys were going through, and I thought you addressed that with the school improvement team. You were looking at trying to get 98% attendance, and I read through your stuff, and I was just trying to make some quick notes. Attendance, new ISS teacher being hired, communication with parents. As I compared your middle school where you work with mine, was also a big concern and one of the factors that you were getting into. Consolidating to an elementary school, I think that's unbelievable. Elementary and a middle school together with budget cuts. I thought you did a good job with your paper and addressing some of those issues. The teacher working condition survey. The only thing that I would ask is I didn't see. I couldn't pull up one of your files. Your presentation was great. Maybe implementing a plan. I didn't know if your SIT you had met with them and tried to make a plan. But overall, I thought you did a great job with this paper. And looking at some of your problems at your school, I kind of compared them to mine, and it was just kind of interesting to read and go back and look at them.
Yeah, it's been quite a shift this year, especially consolidating or merging rather with elementary schools. So we literally have pre-K all the way up to 8th grade in one building.
So your school improvement team, does it do K through 8? I mean, it's just
no. It actually two schools. We're operating as two schools, but we're all just in one building. So the elementary school has its own school improvement team, and we have our own. So we kind of operate independently of each other. We're just all in the same building.
I noticed where you were talking about the highest and the lowest in the teacher working condition survey. Let's see. Vernon has me thinking about my own now. I'm going back to thinking about my own, and it was talking about maybe a shift in achievement gaps for a negative impact in student achievement. Maybe there was there were limited incentive opportunities for teachers to do better, and maybe morale was down just a little bit. I see that at our school as we've changed. We've got 2 new assistant principals, and morale is down big time at our school as well.
Yeah, and I would expect after this year's results that those numbers would decrease.
Now, everybody, for all of us, 2 years goes by without the teacher working condition survey. It's going to be kind of interesting as I look back at all of our stuff. Past 2 years, is it going to be different, for the next 2 years? So I guess the students who are coming into the Gardner Webb in the next couple of years, I mean, they'll have that data, but I'm interested now to compare 2013, 14 to, what we just had,
right,
just to see. So definitely going to be interested.
And one thing about that, when we were working on this artifact, I actually asked my principal, if this is the best tool that you could possibly use to really, I guess, gauge and monitor the conditions. And I think he's been an administrator now for about 16 or 17 years. So, he would, I guess, prefer us not necessarily just depending solely upon the teacher working condition survey, because it's every 2 years. Right. And you never know what the turnover rate might be, during the course of those 2 years. And also he made mention of the timing that the survey is completed. So we all come in the school year fresh and ready to work. You're happy and excited about the new year, and then comes April. You may have had a run-in or something with the administration, right? And it kind of alters, I guess, the perspective a little bit. So, and my thing was, well, how accurate, is this perspective of the school? If you take into account the timing, you take into account every 2 years, you never know what might happen over the course of 2 years.
Right.
Change in administration, because sometimes, like you said, also the teachers' morale, the staff morale.
Well, it does, and I saw in your paper, I was looking at it, it says class sizes ranges from 31 to 35 in grades 7 and 8. I mean, that's the kids in a class. I mean, that would definitely hurt my morale. I mean, I gave tests all day, special needs kids or special ed kids who couldn't sit in the classroom, and I'm like, but you put 31 or 35 in a class, that's a tough class.
Yeah, and keep in mind that, it's seventh grade social studies. So,
Right.
they don't, yes, they receive those accommodations and modifications, but it's not like the special needs students are poured out of social studies classes. So, it's a little different between math and reading or ELA,
Right.
because they're poured out or receiving those inclusion situations. But with social studies, we get them all. So at times there might be about 20 students, who might have an IEP or some type of stipulation in their 504 plan that needs special services and special instruction. So yeah, I've been in the class house with 30 of them. It can be a bit much from time to time.
Well, I thought you did a good job, and I thought you followed the narrative and what you were talking about with your lowest indicators and the future working conditions survey. I think we're right on as well. So I thought you did a good job.
Thank you. Well, I guess we'll just move right along. Whitney.
Yes.
So as I was reading through it, I guess similar to a previous guest here, I just made mention or made notes rather about some of the things. And I know you mentioned that the school has been there for 13 years?
Yes.
And most of the staff has been there for the same number of years it's been there.
Yeah.
Now,
which is very hard coming in new when you're young and you have fresh ideas. And they're like, no, we just do things the way they've always been done.
And that was my question.
It's so frustrating.
What, I guess, effect, or how does that affect, rather, newer or novice teachers who are coming in? When you have this, I guess, school improvement plan, you have these things in place, and like you said, with fresh ideas, how does that impact the progress of the school?
Overall, not really very much. But, I take the time to look at the school improvement plan and, see what goals are on it and say to myself, oh, what can I do in my classroom to make this change happen? And then, I try to get my coworkers to look at it too. But to be honest with you, I'm really not sure how many people look at our school improvement plan when I hear, or since I've been doing this, administration journey, when I go in their classroom, I wonder what they're doing in there. I mean, I don't claim to be the expert in social studies, but I do kind of have an idea what should be going on in there. Always going on there. But I mean, that's off on a whole nother tangent. But it is very frustrating to be young and new and different, have different ideas, and then people don't even want to hear them.
Whitney, are your SIT members elected, or are they
forced, voluntold?
Yeah, voluntold.
Well, see, that's another thing. This past year, you serve 2-year terms, and there's one for every department. There's one arts teacher that represents the performing and visual arts teachers. There's one that represents the career and technical education teachers. There's one that represents academic. And then we have somebody for classified staff. Our curriculum facilitator is on there, somebody from student support, and one of our counselors. And then our whole administration team is on it. We have a CTE parent representative, a PVA parent representative, and then a PVA and a CTE student representative. But last year, for example, it was time for the PVA department to elect a new person. And so when they mentioned that they wanted a new person, it was cricket, and you could have heard a pin drop. And finally somebody was like, well, okay, yeah, I'll just do it. And everybody was like, okay, great, yeah, you do it. And then once each department decides who's going to be that person, then at faculty meeting, everybody votes again and basically just says yes or no. So that's kind of how that goes.
So, and you also mentioned, I guess, about the school culture and the school's mission, and how, I guess, some of the more veteran teachers may have some type of influence there. What's happening there?
So we have 2 schools in one. It's high school. Everything is 9-12. But we have a part-time career and technical program where, for example, I go to Southeast High School and I go there for the first half of the day, and then I come to Weaver and might take culinary arts classes. I'm still a student at Southeast, and I still will graduate from there. So we have those programs. Then we have our Performing and Visual Arts full-time academy where you have to apply, audition, and interview to get in. And it's basically like a magnet kind of program. And in Guilford County, they're called high school options, but it's a magnet program. And that's full-time. So, you say your district in high school is Southeast, but you come to Weaver for all your academics, whatever your art is, all day long, every day for 4 years, and you graduate from Weaver. Does that sort of make sense? It's a lot going on. And a lot of people, the PVA, the staff is very divided. The PVA thinks it's all about them. The PCE thinks it's all about them. And as far as like our numbers are concerned for teacher allotment, we rely on each other. So we all have to keep our numbers up. But typically one thinks they cannot survive without the other, which is true in a way, and it carries over to our students and our parents, and sometimes we get these little snobby acting art students who think that they're better than all of our more what they consider redneck country kids that come for diesel mechanic or auto tech or, and that's not the case at all. I mean, they come from all over the county. And so, but I think because our faculty feels that way, it carries over into our school culture altogether with parents and students. So, I don't know.
So,
Whitney, would you say that clientele kind of take on the status of the kids that they teach?
Say that again. Sorry.
Would you say that the teachers I'm assuming that the teachers teach the same things all the time. So if you've got the artsy kids, you teach the artsy kids all day.
Yes. The only teachers that are shared are academic teachers. If, like a CTE student, if they have to pair their culinary arts class with an academic class. So sometimes in academic classes, you have PVA kids and CTE kids in there at the same time.
Would you say that the teachers that are tracked in certain tracks kind of take on the clientele of the kids that, they kind of look down on the other teachers? If I teach high kids all day, do I look down on the teachers who teach low kids all day?
I would say that.
Hey, we're down to 4 minutes and
Okay.
Who did you ask? Did you have
Do you want me to go ahead?
Yeah, you better. We got 4 minutes, so on free time, and then it's saying we have to pay. I'm like, we're not paying.
Okay.
I agree.
All right, so I did Vernon's, and overall I thought it was really good. He went through and obviously used the teacher working condition survey to lead the discussions with their building leadership team and work together to create resolutions, which I thought was really good. One thing I would say to just maybe add some dialogue, and again, if you've already submitted it for evaluation, then it might be a moot point. But I would suggest perhaps adding a little bit more dialogue about how the proposed resolutions might relate to student achievement and overall school goals as indicated by the rubric that was in our or that is in our handbook. But overall, I thought it was very good. Excuse me. Like I said, you constantly refer to the teacher working condition survey, so there's a strong emphasis on using that, which I think is good, because I know at our school, sometimes our administration doesn't even look at our teacher working condition survey. And so I think that also makes some teachers not want to continue to fill it out from year to year, or from 2 years to 2 years, if they think that their voice is not being heard.
Hey, Whitney, what were you trying to do, Vernon? What were you looking at in the teacher working condition survey?
Well, we had two major issues. The first one was community support, sort of like it reminded me a little bit about your situation. But the other thing kind of reminded me about Whitney's situation, where we had some building leadership issues. Mm-hmm. I did a separate survey on how the staff felt like the BLT represented them. And at my school, it was sort of overwhelming, where the people who were going on to the building leadership team were not really representing their constituents as much as they were kind of furthering their own kind of goals, getting preferred schedules. I'm sorry, what was that?
I said representing themselves.
Yes, and they were trying to get the planning periods that they want and teach the kids that they want and get on the committees that they want.
Right.
And so it became that sort of thing, and it's still kind of that thing. So we're still working to get back to the kids.
You talked about time and having an enrichment period, because at Weaver, because we do have students who achieve higher academically, because that's part of what we look at when they apply and audition to get into the school. We don't really have a set time built into our schedule the way that y'all have. So that was really interesting to me, and I liked it because I think that there's a lot that can be done there, not just but true enrichment for kids who could go even further academically. So I really liked that. So it was interesting for me to read about that and how some people didn't like it at all and how some people really do like it.
Yeah, I did a separate survey on that too, and it was really all over the place. And we're actually going to a new system next year where we sort of smart hunt.
All right, guys, we're at a less than a minute. We'll try to all meet again next Thursday, 10 o'clock, and we'll try to do 3C, 3D, and 3E. And if you guys need anything by then, just text. And we'll try to keep. I don't want to wear that group message out. But I was just worried about trying to get because I noticed the change on that, and I was like, I don't know how many of y'all did, but. I was like, uh-oh, we got to drop back and punch.
Yeah, that was big. Thanks, Bruce, and thanks, guys.
Oh, thank you.
All right, guys. I'll get this downloaded and I'll send this to you. Okay.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay,
guys. Y'all have a good night.
Have a good evening, guys.